let's just take a minute to kind of just take a breath and kind of fall into your heart space. We'll ask to call in any guides, the support from the unseen in all the different ways. What's bringing in what's needed for us and for our expansion and insights and connection with each other today. Ask to just breathe in and relax. And we're always asking that the energies are working even as we're talking. So we'll be asking for whether it's healing, expansion, insights as we talk, but also in a meditation that I'll run at the end of the session. So I want to first pose something to you here. Just looking at this. So if you would just answer this question, like, what is discomfort? You know, when we look at something, I'm always looking at like analyzing a little bit as to what is it that we're talking about. So any words that come to you or experiences that, you know, you can describe when you think of what discomfort is?
The unknown.
Pain. That's very discomfortable.
Okay.
Pressure in my like chest where I just feel a heaviness.
Okay.
Anxiety.
All right.
Sadness.
All right.
I feel an inability to speak up when I feel something needs to be said. That's a big discomfort. I don't know what the actual feeling is, but there's an emotion of helplessness.
There you go.
The unknown.
Okay, so now we're kind of, if you just wait a second. So we're talking about, you know, what it is. So some of you are describing like it's a physical feeling, you know, so there's pain. And then some of you are describing that emotional piece of it, you know, anxiety, you know. And it, you know, you can think of like when you're young and you get excited about something, there's just something real visceral that happens and you feel like a rush through your system. Or many of you are empathic and you might have situations where you just walk into a room and something feels like, ugh, you know, because you can feel the hangover of what's been in the room, you know. So it's interesting. So, you know, so in some way, you know, we've been given this chariot to ride around in. I like to think of as like this being my earth suit. And it's needed to be able to be, you know, in spirit, married to this physical form in this material world to have different experiences. And so I guess, you know, and where we're looking at this is like the way we feel discomfort is a lot of times through this physical or emotional body, you know? Yeah. And then sometimes you can feel it like a weight in your head or too much activity going on in this mental realm. And so, you know, it's like we have this reflex or feedback system, which I think is what discomfort is, you know, it's a feedback system. It's letting us know something. And so then it makes me wonder, like, why is it that we don't like it? You know, if it's in service to us and it's helpful, why are we trying so hard all the time to not have it? The interesting reflection. And so then now, Georgie, as what you were talking about, what causes discomfort? You know, so for you, it's You said the inability to speak up. Did you say? Yeah. What else for people? Because we're experiencing it every day, all kinds of things.
Yeah, social situations cause discomfort now because anywhere you go, you know, people come into my space now and I feel offended almost, because it's like, because I respect other people's boundaries. I wait for people. And then when I'm up there, people are, you know, it's like, and this is the day and age we're in right now, you know, and if it wasn't for what's going on, I wouldn't think anything of it, but it causes discomfort where it never did. And it makes me think, what the, it kind of feels like, what's wrong with me? You know?
Yeah, yeah. And yet how wonderful it is that's given you feedback about the way you're using your mind and how you're experiencing your space.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, I'm much more aware of my space now than I ever used to be. And like how much I want to touch people, even when I'm talking, you know, and can't do that no more, you know? Yeah. It's, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird.
What else causes discomfort for folks?
I think the fear of taking an action that I know I want to take or would be good for me, and yet I'm afraid to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the fear comes from the unknown, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Unknown or self-doubt or things like that. Yeah.
And so it's so interesting, you know, when we look at like self-doubt or being self-critical or other people judging us, any of those things are real rubs because our essence, our source, you know, knows that that's not in alignment with it.
Right.
And I think it's always so interesting how my well-being or my essence will not get behind some thoughts about my limitations. You know, so it will kick up discomfort. Yeah, and that not being in control of outcomes, you know, that causes a lot of discomfort for people. It's just this whole part of we love to be in the known. And yet what's always fascinating to me is how everything that's known at one time wasn't. So we're constantly evolving and moving into new awarenesses and new experiences, or and why it is, you know, we want to live in that, I would say maybe like a lower brain rather than higher brain, because the higher brain is always seeking that which is unknown. You know, it loves to have the full expansive experience. And so, you know, it's our lower personal mind that loves the repetition and the knowing, and it wants the form that we always have been in. And so it's so fascinating, you know, and when you think of other things of discomfort, it was so interesting. I asked my mom, what makes you have discomfort? And she says, judgment. And I said, so people judging you? And she goes, no, me being judgmental. And I thought, isn't that great? Is like we are getting the feedback ourselves all the time too, when we are not in alignment with our energy or our higher selves, you know, is like we will get the feedback just as much, you know. So it's so interesting. And when I was thinking about all the different things that have caused me discomfort in the years, it's been a lot of times, again, that not being in the form of knowing. So it's that part of like when I've been a tweener, when I've been in between things, how that used to be such an uncomfortable place for me. Is like, I remember just like always thinking like, well, when I was young and I would go out with my friends or I would have a boyfriend or something and I would have plans, then I'd be comfortable. And then if I didn't have plans, there was that place of in between things that would cause me discomfort. And I clearly remember one time staying home one night and I was just laying on my bed and I was reading and I put my book down. And all of a sudden there was this big amount of time that disappeared. And it was like 2 hours later, I kind of come back into my awareness. And I had this insight that 2 hours passed, nothing going on, and I am just fine. And that little piece became transferable to all kinds of things in my life then. Is like in that space of not knowing, time still passes. And I get to the other side of it. And then all of a sudden something's known. And I started to become very comfortable in the tweener place. Whether it was in between jobs, in between relationships, in between knowing something, waiting. I no longer had a challenge with waiting, even though that can really cause discomfort, can't it? Because the mind wants to fill in the blanks. And yet now I've kind of released somewhat of my busyness of my mind, thinking it has to know something and just allowing for the next thing to unfold.
Yeah, okay, Charlie? I do. Okay. That's so good. Open your door.
Okay, somebody needs to do their mute if that's going on. All right.
Correct.
So, all right. So looking at the things that are like when people act out, you know, if people act out around me, it used to scare me. Then the universe gives me a job on a psych unit with people who were highly psychotic. And now that's created a different experience for me, you know, is now if people act out, my response is, I wonder what they need. Where before it was, am I safe? You know? And so our experiences help us stretch. You know, they help us get beyond something. Now that doesn't mean if somebody pulls a gun on me, I'm going to say, what is it that you need? You know, I'm going to do what my wisdom offers me in the moment. But it's so interesting how the universe provides for us to get us past things that we have discomfort around. So whether it's just timing of things or criticism or, you know, other experiences, the universe is going to conspire and bring something in. So I like to look at it as, I'm not so much embracing discomfort. I'm not sure that's the best thing, as so much as noticing it and meeting it. You know? Not trying to push away discomfort, you know, but to meet it. And in the meeting of it, you see what doesn't change. You know, you see that you can have this experience of fear, and yet your well-being is still intact. You can have our world fall down around us, and it might not be pleasant, and we are experiencing discomfort, but we are still breathing. You know? And we are still able to connect with our higher selves or our guides. And so it's in the meeting of stuff. If you, I did some stuff with Ganga Ji in the past, and she's a speaker, and she is very amazing in the speaking that she does around consciousness. And so she was saying one time too, if you looked at your hand and you were a toddler, you know, what does the hand look like? And we would say pudgy, probably dirty. And then, you know, you go to kindergarten and now the hand has finger paint on it. And then you look at the hand, you know, as you're a teenager and it might have the ink pen on it. And then you look at the hand as a young adult and it's maybe fingernail polish. And as a, you know, as an adult, you might see it have whatever painting you had done or cleaning product you had done, or it might have rubber gloves or gloves that are for changing the oil in the car, you know, and you have these different things on your hand. And as you start getting older, you look at your hand and it's got the wrinkles on it now and the knuckles are changing. But who's looking? You know, who is the experiencer of those things? Because you look at your hand and it's changing, and yet the consciousness that is seeing it isn't changed. So that helps me when I think about meeting discomfort, is I'm looking at kind of seeing, wow, isn't this interesting? You know, like, that hand looks different, or this fear feels awful, or this vibration doesn't feel good. And it's just letting me know something. So it's in that meeting, you know, it's in the noticing. Like when we're in meditation, we're always asked to kind of notice a thought that's going by, but to not get too involved in it. You know? And that not getting too involved in it doesn't mean inaction when we have discomfort. Like if we have discomfort around inequality or something like that, it doesn't mean inaction, but it means noticing it, seeing that you have some discord about it, and then asking the question, what can I do? You know, is there something I'm supposed to be doing? And that's kind of different than getting real involved in the discomfort of it, so much as seeing the discomfort as the information, the feedback system, and then moving with it. So I love when you look at Rumi, maybe many of you have seen this already, but it's such a good one where it says that, you know, his poem, The Guest House, he's not saying hold it back. You know, he's saying this being human is a guest house. Each day, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for something new. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. You know, that to me is like saying, bring it in, you know, allow it. Especially to me, that part where it says, be grateful for whatever comes because it's been sent from a, you know, from as a guide from beyond. You know, it's like, I don't always know what I'm supposed to experience here in this lifetime. And yet, somehow, the experiences come, you know, and I'm given what I need. So that idea of meeting is so important. You know, it's like life knocking on our door. And sometimes the door will have love or something pleasant. I don't know, can you see that little gremlin? And sometimes it'll have something unusual, you know, not at all in the form of what we, you know, expect. Then it's like sometimes something will come in a recognizable fashion. And I love this picture. I like to go on a site called Pixabay where they have some free images. But isn't that great? It's like, to me, the universe is oftentimes giving me stuff that I've not seen before. A lot of times discomfort comes from when we're pushed beyond the edges of our knowing. And so sometimes we just have to wait and kind of be curious about it. And be able to say, wow, this is really interesting. Why is this in my life right now? What is this bringing to me? What's this bringing to the planet right now? What is this bringing to businesses right now? And I love to ask those questions because in the question is the invitation for the answers. That if we don't ask the questions, we don't call in what we're looking for, then so often our system is sending the messages that we like to stay just as we are. And in the asking of the question, we're opening the door. We're greeting it, we're meeting it and saying, interesting, what are you here for? The anxiety, interesting, I'm feeling anxious. What is this here? Oh yeah, wow, I'm scaring myself with my thinking. Or wow, I'm entering a phase that I don't know. Wow, something's brewing and I'm ready for another phase of expansion. That discomfort is often trying to give us feedback. Sometimes our body's letting us know. Maybe you need more rest. Maybe you need more restoration. Maybe a new way of attending to it. So it's this part of like meeting the experience, you know, going to the door and just saying, okay, come on in. Because in that part of accepting it and feeling it, the push against it leaves. Because whenever we know if we're pushing against something or we're contracting, then we're giving the universe the message that we are not open to any expansion. And if we're contracting, our field is kind of keeping only our own thoughts and feelings and experiences, and we're holding them closer. And in contraction is also resistance. And I don't know any way to expand through resistance. That it's more in, sometimes you might take the action of resistance to give a message, you know, but in terms of your energetic sense, it's like resistance is going to not give the field or your guides or your higher self the message that you're ready. Does that make sense? Has anybody met an experience this week that kind of surprised you? And it can be good too, you know, that sometimes when people even just compliment you, I observe this all the time when I'm, you know, not so much during COVID, but when I'm out and about and somebody will say something like, wow, you look great. And somebody has that first like kind of discomfort. And it's just because in their mind, maybe they didn't feel like they looked great that day. You know? And so it's this part of us meeting whatever comes. Like somebody says you look nice, you kind of just, instead of deflecting it and resisting it, is just kind of let that come in, let it wash over you. Let your fear wash over you. Your essence is like the sun. It's always going to evaporate denser energy if you allow it. So this is kind of interesting when I think about like how if you're outside and you're around a bee. And when I was young, I remember that, like getting all whatever. And then somebody said, stand still, just stand still. So it's like, wouldn't that be a good response when discomfort comes through? Is to just get still. You know, just get still and allow yourself to feel it, you know, observe it and kind of greet it. You know, that's so different and takes less energy than the resistance and the contraction. So the other piece I really wanted to talk about too is this whole thing about experiencing stuff, the difference between experiencing something and indulging in it. So what do you think about those two words? If you were to say, what's the difference between those two? Yeah, Kathleen?
For me, Cindy, experiencing feels like I've got some space between it. I'm kind of looking at it. And when I indulge, I feel like I'm going down the rabbit hole. Like I'm stuck in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, it's like the difference between like watching one episode of a show on this, now we can do this on streaming, services. You watch one episode or you get stuck. Like that happened to me with Outlander. I watched one episode and before I knew it, I couldn't stop watching it. So I just kept, I loved it. So I just kept going. I watched the whole first season in like 3 days.
Yeah. So that's a great example in the indulging in something that you feel good about.
Mm-hmm.
That's, to me, not a problem. Unless you're skipping work. Not taking care of kids or something.
No, it was on a weekend, so it was good.
Yeah. So what about like when you indulge in a story that doesn't serve you? Is there a difference between experiencing and indulging? Yeah.
That's when you feel the discomfort.
Yeah. And so then the discomfort's in service, right? Just letting us know. Yeah. This is such a big one because it's like when I look at an experience, I have the experience. And then when I look at the memory of it, or it floods my field sometimes, the memory of it, is I have to be careful to allow the experience, but to not roll around in the story of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I roll around in the story of it, then I keep reactivating and informing my system of it. And so I'm always kind of the belief that it's real at the time that it happened. And I have experienced it. And when it comes back, it gets real. But the more I just allow it and see what comes up as messages or information that I was meant to experience of it, that as I allow it to come up like that, then the charge from it starts to leave.
Mm-hmm.
But when I keep kind of getting back into the story of it, so I would say, like Eileen, you watch something that you're enjoying it, then roll around in it like a pig. But to roll around in the discomfort of stuff isn't always serving you, your vibration, the planet, the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's like I don't want to ignore, and I'm not going to try to push it away. I'm going to allow myself to experience things because it may be telling me something needs to change. It lets me know whether I'm on track or not. It lets me know what I'm feeding myself or what I'm taking in vibrationally. So I'm not going to not want to feel it because it gives me information and maybe sets me on a path, but to keep going over something. Like I know somebody who has a big resentment towards somebody, and them holding that resentment and always going over what that person did. I wish I could say that was helping the person, but it's not. There's a point at which we have to let go of the experience, take the information, see what's in it for us, expand with that, let it go so we can call in these higher vibrations. We can call in what's next. That makes sense?
Mm.
So indulging is not really where we want to go with things. And yet we all do it. For sure, because I've done it myself over and over sometimes. And I might do it through a story that I have about somebody or something that's happened to me, or even a story about what might be my future. But if I can suspend knowing and allow myself to kind of push the boundaries of who I am and push my field out and just suspend in the space of unknowing, and then to call in what might be for me, then I'm moving into expansion. Because it's not always without being clumsy. You know, it's not without making messes. So, you know, embracing, maybe not. Like there are things I still might not want to embrace, you know, I don't, but seeing it, witnessing it, noticing it, meeting it, knowing it in the meeting, nothing changes to my essence, you know, but in the meeting of it, I might just be putting myself on the next place of my purpose or my soul's expansion, you know. In the resistance of discomfort, I'm pretty much going to stay the same. And there are periods of time where you just want to be there, you know, where you're just not ready for another expansion. If you have a choice. Yeah. But in that place of holding, you know, the openness and the request to show me what this is here for so I can have movement about it. Anybody have anything they want to share? How many of you have been resisting something recently? Anybody? Yeah. And how's that working for you?
Perfect.
I notice as soon as I'm resisting, I feel a contraction.
Mhm.
You know, a physical contraction. And then when you have that physical contraction, you also have that field contraction,
Mhm.
you know, because your energy field that wants to kind of be more expansive contracts and it starts to distort in the resistance, because then the head will get kicked up and that'll take you places. So in that quieter space, you know, and you just can fall into that and you get an alignment with your essence, that well-being. That's your true nature.
Yeah.
That's who you truly are, is that essence. So I want to kind of move us into, unless people have some questions. Does anybody have any questions before we move? So I want to do a short meditation to kind of connect again with the alignment with the cosmos and the earth energies, to kind of clear any discomfort, anxieties, or things, and then to open to you experiencing yourself as that consciousness, and then to call in any vibrations and attunements, you know, that would be useful to you. Is that you up for that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to put on a little bit of music and see how this goes. And if anybody, just so you know, you can always donate through the donate button on Lake Harriet. You know, that again, you know, without people meeting regularly there, lights still need to be paid. Cleaners still need to clean, even more so than usual. You know, there's so much that goes on there. So if you have anything that you can offer, that would be great.
And Cindy, in the chat window, Gary put the link to donate. So
Thank you. Thank you. I'm not as good at multitasking here, Ella. Okay, so just find yourself able to get comfortable if you can. And I'm going to lead you through and move some of the energy as we're doing this. So to start with, just kind of relax and close your eyes and reduce stimulation in any way that you can. And then I want you to imagine that right under your feet, there's an earth chakra, that we're so used to the 7 chakras, and yet there's many more. And there's an earth chakra right under your feet. that we're going to ask that chakra to open to assist you in moving some of the energy. And then also noticing that above your head, there's what's called a star chakra. It's right above the crown chakra. We're asking for the opening of it to create a greater connection with the field, the unseens, your angels, your guides, God, the ancient wisdom, the archangels. We're asking to be in connection. And the earth chakra and the star chakra open to help us move the personal and collective energies that no longer serve us. And we're asking through this opening to bring in the energies of peace. We're asking to bring in the energies that are harmonic to where we're going. Calling in creativity and abundance. Clarity. And the recognition and experience of our own well-being. We're taking this time to settle into your space, to release all the tension in your body. Focusing first on your feet, releasing the tension of the feet, and breathing space into that area. And allow your breath to breathe the energy up from the earth to expand and warm your feet. The first area and conduit for the energy of the earth. And trust that you are safe and all is well. And that the earth and your guides have your back. The energy moving up to your legs, and it's releasing any unease. The air is breathing and expanding the warmth of that space. Climbing up to your pelvic region, releasing control. Honoring your place on the planet. And the energy is moving up to your belly and your solar plexus. Relax your belly. No holding. Moving the energy up to your chest and into your heart. Releasing Any resentment or harshness that you've experienced or put out into the world. Expanding. Moving the energy to your shoulders, relaxing, dropping the shoulders, feeling the expansion of your neck, relaxing your jaw, and taking your consciousness up to your third eye. And we're asking that with your intent and your guides, your higher self, to just dial the third eye open just a little more than it was previously. Creating the ability to see the bigger picture and to move beyond your individual view, opening to your multidimensionality. And then take your attention to the top of your head and ask your higher self to open the crown chakra to a place where it's comfortable so that you can release and receive. And now let's take this move to that beautiful energy of creation and ask to connect with the field of possibilities, the field of the answers, the wisdom of the ancients and the unseens. We're asking those energies to come in and clear all fear and anxiety. To just create our being human, our earth suit, and allow it to just be a vessel right now to move the energies. And imagine the breath of the cosmos entering your head and running down through your body, bringing light, raising your vibration as it moves down through the body, releasing through the earth chakra, offering it to Pachamama, to Mother Earth, where the energies are reconverted into useful energies. We're asking this energy to move and clear all discordant vibrations, all dense energies that are not in service to you. And notice the breath running from the earth upward through your body, out the top of your head. Clearing anything, giving it out to the field where it's organized and placed in a dimension where it's supported. This beautiful energy running through you now, through this breath, is offering peace and security and hope. Allow it to relax your muscles and your mind and your nervous system. That the light is illuminating all that you are. And your field is opening to the hidden life and information that runs through the field of all creation. And that you experience your consciousness, pure consciousness, knowing that you are love, expanding and vibrating. And just breathe for a minute. And notice how amazing it is to feel this connection. Imagining the energy flowing with light and information. Feel the flow of the energy given to you from the cosmos. Given to you from the ancients. Feel the connection and the flow of the energy and consciousness via spirit given to you from source. That this energy is your life. This energy is your birthright. And feel the support of all the angels and the unseens. And know that they're in service, clearing and nourishing our systems. They're funneling energy wherever we focus our attention. And take a moment to notice where you'd like some support. Do you want expansion? Or do you want emotional or relational support? Do you want insight or something for the planet or the people and the collective? And ask for what you want help with and trust it is now coming in. And imagine the guides are stacking up behind you, clapping their hands in celebration, that they're honoring you for all you've chosen to experience here. All that's been good and all that's had discomfort. They're honoring you for the influence that you've had here on the planet. And they want you to know that they patiently await opportunities to lend their love and support, their protection and their influence. And take that in, that the unseens are in awe of you. And what does it feel like to be so supported? And knowing that there's relief for you and all of the planet as we breathe in the breath of creation and remember who we are and that we're always supported. And now we're asking that the energies of the group get behind any private intentions. That we call in the insights, the relief, and the guidance for those intentions. Now we ask that you quietly bring yourself back, thanking the energies for their assistance and your opportunity to call in what's truly yours. Slowly wiggle your toes and move your body and come back to the group. All right. Thank you. Thank you. How'd that feel? Yeah. Good.
Oh, good.
So good to see everybody.
Thank you, Cindy. That was great.
Yeah, thank you, Cindy.
You're welcome.
Yes,
Very
thank you.
much.